Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today. We're going to get started with our topic on how the best GCs resolve issues in the field. My name is John Sanner. I'm joined by Kyle Saylor. We will get into further introductions here in just a minute. I appreciate you all from joining from wherever you are. So before we go over today, everything we're going to cover today is information presented to the best of our knowledge, but as you know, things do change. So please don't make any purchasing decisions based on features or capabilities that are not yet live. Just a couple housekeeping things here. If not already, I'm sure it is, but please make sure your line is muted to reduce background noise. Also, if you have a question, please feel free to use the question box. We have Adam on the call too, who will be here to help us answer questions at the end as well. And in case you have to leave or drop for any reason, a link to this webinar will be emailed to all registrants with the recorded session. So again, my name is John Sanner. I'm a technical marketing manager here at Autodesk. My background is actually in the construction industry. I spent 6 or 7 years or so working in construction for a large GC. I spent most of my time in the VDC world, but I spent a lot of time interacting with the PM roles, the supers, the foremen, and I made the switch to Autodesk to help share the knowledge of Autodesk products. And now I'll hand it over to Kyle to introduce himself.
All right, thanks, John. So again, my name is Kyle. I'm glad to be here. I just want to talk about a little bit of my history here. I began my career at Autodesk, helping students and faculty members in 2-year and 4-year institutions all around the globe to understand design, manufacturing, and construction technologies and how to best use them for like school projects and in their curriculum. And then I moved into product marketing in construction and sort of harkened back to my days of being a carpenter in the hot summers of Tucson, Arizona, as well as my first marketing gig as a drafting retail prospectuses in AutoCAD. So I'm using that as sort of a guidance right now in my career. In between that, I've done a handful of work in the outdoor industry and technology industry as a marketing and a solutions expert. But today I'm just excited to talk to you all about some issues, which is sort of something that's near to my heart.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, so now I'll go over the agenda for today. As we know, construction is definitely not perfect. So we're going to talk about one little finite piece of that imperfection is the issue with issues. We're also going to talk about connected construction workflows and how those can benefit you and help you moving forward. And then we're going to look at issue resolution for the entire team. So ways that everyone on your job and on the project can use issues and can benefit from using technology for helping resolve issues. And we'll end with Q&A and closing. All right, so again, no surprises here. We know construction management is a highly complex and multi-dimensional collaborative effort. To execute on projects effectively, numerous people and moving parts all need to work together seamlessly and stay in sync. Issues need to be recognized and then resolved quickly. Questions must be answered in a very timely manner, and there needs to be trust and accountability across the entire team. Keep all of this while keeping your projects within budget and on time. That's all easier said than done. And to complicate things even more, the different parties involved, like design firms, GCs, subcontractors, they all use different systems and platforms to get their work done. The JB Knowledge 2020 Contact Report found that 63% of construction pros are using 3 to 6 apps. That makes integration and communication very challenging and actually limits project data usage. Design teams and construction teams struggle to find a seamless way to identify issues and then circulate and communicate those to appropriate stakeholders. Teams sometimes rely on spreadsheets, static reports, or third-party management solutions to gather that information and actually make decisions. Unfortunately, many of these tools and sources are unreliable though, and very much inaccessible to the wider team. They cause confusion and ultimately are ineffective for detecting clashes or resolving issues out in the field. Not to mention the manual tasks involved with static documents and spreadsheets. They're tedious, they're time consuming, and can cause issues that slip through the crack. So really, realistically here, more than half of rework claims are due to inaccurate field data. When workers have outdated plans and issue data, at best they're going to waste time going back and forth to the trailer. But at worst, they'll actually perform the work and install their work based on that outdated information. At the end of the day, what's your result? Rework. And issues from disconnected workflows that could have been avoided bubble up to the surface later on in the form of rework and unnecessary costs. Clashes alone account for 5% of construction spending overall, and 52% of the $280 billion of annual rework costs are caused by poor project data and the lack of communication globally. To address this, many companies turn to third-party point solutions to address specific problems, but these programs usually require a lot of training and implementation, and as well as additional costs. And now we can get to the productivity side of things. Construction workers are spending a very substantial chunk of time on activities that take away from actually doing their jobs and building on their project sites. Finding strategic ways to optimize and focus their time is a critical step in reducing waste and staying competitive in today's market. So let's take a look at some of the numbers here. Survey responses indicated that construction workers at all levels averaged over 14 hours lost per person each week. That's almost 4 hours a week dealing with mistakes and rework, almost 5 hours a week spent on conflict resolution, and 5.5 hours a week looking for project data or information. All of this simply to say that managing project issues in construction can be a headache. We want to make this easier for you though, by bringing your teams together, resolving issues faster, and helping your teams avoid costly rework. Streamlining communication and collaboration, that's the easy part, right? So you can spend more time on the hard stuff and get home early. It is all straightforward, simple, and possible. So I'm actually going to open up a poll here. We talked about a few problems, and I'm going to, launch a poll here that kind of outlines some other problems with issues that you might find out in the field. Is it issue communication that you're struggling with, or tracking actual issues on the job site? Just go ahead and mark which of these actually most relates to you. I'll let this run for about 30 seconds or so. A lot of people are still voting, so I'm going to give another 5 seconds. All right, looks like voting has stalled a little bit, so I'll go ahead and close that up. All right, let's just share this out real quick, just so everyone can see what the responses are. So when we look at the poll results here, a lot of people are really struggling with timely issue resolution, right? That's a big one. Issue communication comes in second, and then a tie for third between issue tracking and missing issue data. All of these problems are things we're going to talk about here moving forward. And with that, I will pass it off to Kyle then to talk about that in more detail.
All right. Thanks for taking that poll, and thanks, John, for walking us through some of those growth opportunities. As we just saw, there's a lot of disconnect and wasted time, wasted data out there. Hopefully, we can start to show the value of our connected issue workflows. Because when firms are connecting the field and office data, teams can communicate better and deliver quality projects. Using Autodesk's end-to-end workflows, project teams can track issues from design to handover all in one place. It also offers the ability to elevate accountability to resolve issues faster with more trust. So let's take a look at some of the capabilities within these workflows that are transforming the AEC industry and bringing effective communication to the forefront by unifying project teams with their data. All right, to start off here, we're going to talk a little bit about design and coordination workflows. These design and coordination workflows in Autodesk BIM Collaborate bring multidisciplinary teams together in one place to collaborate on designs and identify constructability issues early on. And I think that's kind of key, is the early on part. Through collaboration, issue identification becomes the job of many as opposed to the job of few. With the contribution of the entire team to find and resolve issues in the cloud, pre-construction workflows are drastically accelerated. Several customers like WSP Canada and Morgan Sindall out of the UK have reported anywhere between 20 and 30% in time savings in pre-construction. Innovative companies like these are able to accomplish this by filling out data-rich issue fields that provide context for the entire lifecycle of an issue. Then they're able to assign that issue to an individual or a team with a due date, and then use comments to get more information. These issues are easily accessible across teams and downstream workflows. Without this connective tissue, the breakdown in communication could potentially lead to greater risk. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about automation here. All of this is made easier with automation. Things like automatic clashing, automatic reports, change notifications, they all make the job of a BIM manager all that much easier. But it also allows other team members who may not have as much Navisworks experience to take part in the model coordination process. It allows designers to instantly know what's changed in their model, and instead of spending all that time searching for change information or what's happened with the most recent issue, that information is just at their fingertips. All of this extra support greatly reduces repetitive tasks done by the BIM manager and also provides more time to focus on the more important constructability issues. And now a little bit about meetings. So we have meetings in the cloud. And so once you've determined what that top issue is, a meeting agenda can be developed in the cloud to keep coordination meetings on track. You can reference models, RFIs, or issues, and that issue status and the details are dynamically changed in that meeting based off of the course of action that's decided. And of course, our native integrations in Navisworks and Revit are key. They speed up the review and resolution of an issue without the use of third-party applications or obviously manual data transfers. The responsible party can pick up an assigned issue directly in Revit, for example, and immediately remedy it. Okay, a little bit about insights. Unique capabilities like our root cause analysis of constructability issues allow project leaders to make insight-driven decisions based off of data and not off of bias. This enhances the current project delivery and could even forecast for future project success. And since we built our capabilities with a platform mindset, other tools like Power BI can integrate with the data that you've accumulated in your CDE to use for pre-created forecast models that measure things like change, cost, schedule slips, or any efficiencies that you've picked up by new innovations. All right, I want to talk a little bit about quality and safety here. Quality and safety workflows in Autodesk Build enable teams to create, assign, track, and resolve issues faster. These issues are accessed from the same common data environment as is the pre-construction issues, providing the transparency needed to analyze their root causes and avoid recurring problems. With quality and safety management, teams gain the visibility into issues using mobile technologies and can capture it in the field and write down what needs to be changed. If necessary, a PM can connect RFIs to issues, change orders, or even meeting minutes. Creating an RFI directly from an issue reduces duplicate data entry, and it also creates a bidirectional link between those two records. As a project moves from pre-construction to the construction phase, more data is accumulated. So to make use of that data, it needs to be stored in a centralized place. So issues created in the design review phase or those issues created through quality or safety checks can be accessed, stored, tracked, and used for proactive responses in the future. With centralized issue data, analysts gain visibility into high-risk issues that impact cost, schedule, quality, and safety. Okay, let's look at what this looks like visually. With the bidirectional issues at the center, and you could even argue it's more like multi-directional issues at the center, teams in the field are checking on quality of a project, and they can send that issue back to the design phase via RFI or maybe something less formal if possible. And the issues created and resolved in the coordination phase are then sent to the PM in the field for greater context if they're trying to figure out why a certain decision was made. Designers can use issues in either design review or coordination workflows to refine their work in progress or shared designs. Upfront issue communications creates higher quality designs that have a cascading effect on downstream workflows. And I kind of want to repeat that. Upfront issue communication create higher quality designs and have a cascading effect on downstream workflows, making the job of a BIM manager all that much easier, as well as the project manager. Centralized issue management means the entire project team can view, address, and resolve issues throughout the construction lifecycle. All right, I want to be clear here that the future of construction technology is in the connectivity between tools. And Autodesk is not going to solve every problem out there for every team, which is why we built this platform that connects to outside tools to fill in those gaps. Take OpenSpace as an example, and if you can find OpenSpace in that map, good on you. But OpenSpace is a great progress tracking and issue management tool that uses 360-degree images to layer into BIM data. And so they can link these images with Autodesk Build and assign issues for resolution and follow-up, and you can open or kick off work with the context teams need to get the job done faster. Okay, let's take a quick look at the workflows found in the Autodesk Construction Cloud platform. All of these capabilities work to connect headquarters, office, and field teams to increase collaboration and productivity. As you look through this list, I want you to think about what workflows give you the most headaches and how maybe a simple automation or centralized data could help improve project outcomes. Okay, because we believe we deliver best-in-class capabilities to enhance collaboration through meaningful workflows for all the phases of construction. From design authoring to facilities maintenance, we're integrating workflows that enable construction teams to deliver successful projects within budget, within schedule, and with safety and quality in the forefront. This approach allows construction companies to grow their business and strengthen their reputation. All of this is only possible through a strong connected foundation in Autodesk Construction Cloud. Shared data allows proactive decision-making and enables predictive insights. Documents are easily managed and accessible across phases, so work happens in one single place. All of this gathered data enables construction teams to better deliver and even predict project success. All right, hopefully you're not going to just take my word for it. Here are some quotes from our customers who are currently benefiting from the connected platform. You'll see here that Amy from Herrero Builders, for example, is excited about the ability to track an issue's progression in real time, which helps them to immediately manage project roadblocks. I like that immediacy part to it. And as you can see with the second quote there, customers are spending a lot less time searching for the information they need to do their job well. This is really only possible with that strong data foundation that I mentioned earlier. And in fact, reports from customers are flowing in all the time, and we keep hearing this common thread that what used to take hours is now taking just minutes. So finally, our goal is to increase the visibility across teams and workflows to help firms predict outcomes and ultimately lead to better industry reputations. Okay. What we've presented today about Autodesk Build and Autodesk BIM Collaborate is only the tip of the iceberg in terms of capabilities. The technology is available to you and your teams to make collaboration possible in one platform, to resolve issues faster, and to avoid expensive and time-consuming rework. Today and tomorrow, the best GCs are turning to these methods to transform projects and lead the industry in quality, collaboration, and innovation. You all are out there every day actually making the world that we live in. Autodesk is here just to hopefully reduce some of the headaches along the way. And with that, I think we're going to head into the live Q&A session part of this session. So get your questions into the question box. But before we do that, we're going to run another poll. So Marissa, if you could load that up, that would be awesome. Okay. Hopefully I did okay today and piqued a little bit of your interest in one of these workflows. If you are interested in one of them, we'd love to hear from you and we will connect you to the right person. We're going to keep this running for a bit, and as we let questions sort of accumulate.
Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, like as Kyle said, we are open for some Q&A here shortly after you're done answering that poll. So if you want to start asking some questions, Adam, we can certainly handle some of those.
Absolutely. Kyle, John, we got a few questions coming in. I'll try to queue them up here nicely. I thought this was a good one to start with, coming in from Michael. How do you define issues? Maybe John, you could take that one.
Yeah, so I mean, issues within the context of ACC, you can track everything from large issues that you might see, you know, or even going down to small issues like punch list items, right? So anything that needs to be addressed by, you know, multiple people or an individual to fix, right? So, you know, those can be tracked, like Kyle said, all the way from design, where you're seeing maybe a door needs to be moved, right? That's a small issue. Or on the site where there's a big safety issue that needs to be addressed. All of those can be tracked within the issues tool in ACC.
Great, Michael. Hopefully that got you a good answer. Got one here that I think is good for Kyle. Can you explain how issues from ACC work in Navisworks and Revit?
Yeah, so Navisworks and Revit have free add-ins that come with the the more recent versions. I think it's pretty much all of the recent versions of Revit and Navisworks. And what that does is it connects those applications directly to the cloud CDE. So specifically for Revit, if you create an issue in design collaboration, for instance, that goes into the document management portion of BIM Collaborate, and they can just pull it directly from there. They can see the pin in the model. They get all the same detail that you inputted, and then you can resolve it or pass it off to someone else. You can change the status, and then it just goes right back into the cloud. So it's a really seamless way to resolve issues. And for Navisworks, so Navisworks connects to the coordination space. And so in the same way, you can pull up views, you can pull up those issues if you want. You can better contextualize aggregated models and that kind of thing. Again, free add-ins that are available in both of those products, and they sync perfectly with the cloud.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm gonna coincidentally one from Kyle here. Thanks for this. When will Autodesk Cloud programs be available in an ITAR compliant form?
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. As far as I know, we are actively evaluating multiple different compliant, different other services, FedRAMP being one of them, ITAR potentially being another one. If I were you, I would definitely schedule time with a specialist to discuss that specific platform or that certification in more detail. I don't have that direct answer, so I would definitely encourage speaking with a specialist at that point.
Thanks, John. Here's another general one. Could you expand on how data is lost throughout the design and construction process?
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly handle that one. All of the different people who touch documents, right? It goes from, owner, their idea, right? It starts out as an idea, then it goes to a designer, which tries to capture as many ideas from that owner as they can, and then it gets handed to a GC, and then to subcontractors, and back to the owner, right? Think of it this way, right? So you have an Excel document with a lot of different calculations in it. But once you print that to a PDF, for example, or you make it static, you lose all of that data in the back end, right? You can't really see what's happening. So that's why in this instance, like having a workflow that can connect all of those different people, all of those different stakeholders is super important, so that you can try to minimize the data loss between different interactions.
Thanks for that, John. It was a very complete answer. Got another one here, more on the BIM collaboration side. So I think Kyle's would be good for you. Can you create issues in BIM Collaborate and push those same issues to build?
Yes. So issues that you create in BIM Collaborate are essentially stored in Autodesk Docs, which is something that comes with both Build and in BIM Collaborate, and then you can pick up those issues in Build.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Flip to a more general one. I think, Kyle, this might be in your wheelhouse again. Why would designers use model coordination?
Yeah, actually, so one of those stats that I talked about earlier, where folks are seeing a 20 to 30% reduction in time in pre-construction. It was from an organization that was basically they were using Revit Cloud Work Sharing to sort of work in one place, the designers were, and then they would sort of immediately pop over to coordination to run a clash detection, on their specific models that they're trying to design, and then jump back over to Revit just to quickly remedy that. It's just a good way of like spot checking yourself as a designer as you go, so that you don't have to sort of wait for the back and forth of coordination to see those clashes and ultimately fix them.
Thank you, sir. We got lots of questions here, and yep.
I think I'm going to step in for one. There's one here that's pretty important that I'd like to address too. So there's a question here from Randy about how is change management handled with PCOs being created, communicated, all from issues, right? So that's, again, one of the powers of this connection and connected platform, right? So not only do issues span the entire life cycle of project, but at the same time, issues can also then be converted, not converted per se, but turn into an RFI. And those same RFIs can then use our cost module, our cost tool, to then turn into a PCO. And we have a full suite of change management PCO through the whole change order workflow within Build, the cost tool in Autodesk Build. So Randy, I would suggest speaking with a specialist again too, if you want to explore that workflow a little bit more in more detail.
Thanks, John. Another one that stands out to me, anything you showed today not available based on your safe harbor statement. Thanks, Steve, for bringing that up.
So the one thing that is not yet available that we talked about are issues in design collaboration, which is actually something that we will be releasing in about a week. So you should have access to that fairly soon here. So that's the only one that I'm aware of. John, do you know of any other ones?
No, I think that was the big one that we put in that is not yet available, but luckily it is coming very soon.
All right. Another good one here from Beth. Can you directly reference one or more sheets in an issue?
That is correct, Beth. You can reference multiple different things within an issue. So everything from sheets to other files to forms. For example, if you're doing a QC form, you can create an issue directly from that form. And submittals, assets. There's a lot of different other parts of the ACC platform that you can reference within just an issue itself. And with that being said, too, issues can also be referenced in those same tools, right? So if you're working in assets, you can then reference an issue if it pertains to that asset.
There's another Sheets one here, so I'm gonna queue that one up. Seems there's a person here, John, thank you. Very impressed with the Autodesk trial. Sheets had features I liked more than PlanGrid. Is there a mobile app for Sheets for the field? John was unable to find one. Can we help him out?
100%. Yeah. We do have a mobile app, a very robust mobile app. You want to look for PlanGrid Build. So we've taken the best parts of PlanGrid, especially their mobile first capabilities, and built all of the Autodesk build capabilities into the app, right? So what you're going to want to look for on the App Store is PlanGrid Build. You'll be able to see all of the capabilities and tools there.
And just tried to share a link there. Hopefully everybody can see that. I'll send that out again too, but that'll link you to the App Store and Google Play. All right. Switching gears, are there solutions cost effective for subcontractors? As a fire sprinkler contractor, I am not seeing many Revit projects on our part of projects. Thanks for that one. Kyle, maybe you could take that one.
Yeah, I guess I can take it from a coordination perspective. Yeah, I mean, we have DWG support for model coordination, as well as on the design phase, you have DWG support there too. In terms of like MEP engineers, there's a lot of benefit in using these solutions, especially early on in the process. So as designers are creating a more complete or a higher quality design, MEP engineers have more relevant, up-to-date information so that they can do their work earlier on and not have to be so reactive later on. John, you want to add anything to that? I'm just sort of talking from one perspective.
No, and just generally speaking, a lot of people, whether you're a subcontractor, GC, architect, engineer, can find value in the ACC platform. Cost effective, I don't know your situation, so effective is a relative term. But with that being said, please talk to a specialist, see what workflows that you currently employ can fit in ACC, and from there you can evaluate cost.
Thank you, John. Here's one I think that a few people probably are thinking. Coincidentally, John, thank you for asking it. How does BIM 360 fit into ACC? Will it sunset?
As far as I know right now, there are no plans to sunset BIM 360. We still have a very healthy user base using that, and we want to respect those folks who are using the BIM 360 and respectively the PlanGrid platform as well. So as far as I'm aware, there are no plans at this point.
All right, I'm going to go another BIM 360 question. The BIM 360 Glue app on the iPad is a great way to view the model. The Build app is not as good. What can be done to make the Build app better at navigating models? That'd be a hard one. Who wants to take that one?
It is a hard one. Yeah, I mean, there is a sort of a Navisworks pass through that you can do to get the same types of aggregated models in the apps, the BIM 360 app. I would have to respond back with a little bit more detailed way of doing that. Yeah, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Kyle. That's something, you know, we are actively investigating and trying to make the build app at least on parity, if not better, than what Glue offered. Adam, I'm not sure. Maybe I should just go through and we have a lot of questions here. Should I do some rapid fire on some of these?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay. There's a question here. Does RFI stand for request for information? That is correct. How are GCs validating daily work on site back to a coordinated model? Kyle, that might be a good question for you.
I'm sorry, John, can you repeat it? I was reading something else.
Sure. How are GCs validating daily work on site back to a coordinated model?
Daily work on site back to the coordinated model.
So as builting is kind of what I'm understanding from that question. So yeah, I mean, it's really comes back to, you know, how you're as builting, right? So you can track a lot of changes via markups on sheets, files. Hopefully I'm understanding your question right, Brian. But yeah, I mean, really it comes back to how you document the work that's actually happening on site and then conveying that information back to the coordinated model. So with that being said, you know, ACC in general does offer a good platform for collecting all that information so that you can make changes, adjustments to your coordinated model. Do you have anything to add to that, Kyle, or should I just keep going?
That sounds great to me.
Okay. Let's see. Is this cloud similar to BIM 360 and work as a CDE? Yes, that is correct. So the CDE thought process does also apply to ACC in general with sheets, files, issues, as we talked about today, and a few other tools that span many parts of the platform. Is there an ability to connect RFIs from Procore? No, there is not right now. Let's see.
I've got a couple here that I think we can tick off that are actually maybe a little bit outside of our specific disciplines, but they're exciting because they're kind of fresh. When is the Gantt charting going to be available? John, actually, that is your purview, so I'll let you do that one.
I will take that one. Yes. Coming soon, there will be a schedule tool in Autodesk Build. So that will allow you to take your P6 schedule, your Microsoft project, Asta Power project, import that into the ACC platform so that you can take that schedule, your Gantt chart, your activities, and then be able to view those on site. You can then provide comments back to the scheduler with mentioning and comments. So that makes that process a little bit easier. Be on the lookout for more information on that. That will be coming out in a very short time.
Yeah, there's another one I wanted to touch on here. I showed a large set of integrations, that big map, and someone asked, is there sort of a directory that explains precisely each of these applications and how they integrate and stuff like that? Yes, John, you want to go for that one? That one might be a fresh one as well.
Sorry, can you repeat that real quick?
So this person is looking for a place, like a directory, or to show all these apps and integrations within the tool.
Yeah. So with that said, there is coming to ACC soon again a reference of an app store. So effectively, you'll be able to similar to like what you would see on a phone or anywhere else, that you can see what connects and how it connects to the ACC platform, and evaluate from there and choose which you'd like to integrate with.
Yeah. I'm going to try and answer this question if I understand it correctly, but not all projects follow the Autodesk stream. What custom option is available? So we talked a lot about in this presentation the integrations, our sort of platform strategy of being able to connect to a lot of different types of tools. The idea is that we want you to be able to use the tools that you're familiar with, which is why we're continuously ticking off more file support, more integrations with tools that you might be using on a daily basis, like the open one that I mentioned earlier. We have a lot of integrations and more to come, and more and more file support.
I can take one question while you catch your breath, Kyle. What kind of organizations within these three following groups does the product fit best? And he lists out consultants and designers, builders, contractors, owners, and operators. The true answer is all three groups there. We have a very healthy customer base of all three different personas that you list out there. We also offer a different packaging as far as how we package the products for those groups. So, necessarily you do not have to get everything, but at the same time, we have something that fits all, right? So that's, I'm sorry, that's not a direct answer to pick one of those three, but I can't do it if it works for all three different personas.
Okay, I have one here. Explain and demonstrate how you load a lesson learned from all projects and add lessons learned from a current project as a library for your team. So, from a coordination perspective, if you are tracking, like let's say, for instance, resolution over time, you could do that, just for the entire project, or you can do it by company. You might be able to see, okay, once we, here's an example. Once we start to apply different clash tolerance filters, our resolution or our issue identification gets slowed down, or our resolution gets slowed down, or something like that. Those are the types of insights that you can extract during a current project to use for future projects. And because we have that as a native part of our tool, but we also integrate with something like Power BI. So if you have models set where you're ingesting that type of data to sort of spit out possible future outcomes, you can do that in Power BI. And John, correct me if I'm wrong, can you pull a Power BI card like that into the home?
Okay. Into Project Home, that's not accurate, but in Insight within ACC, you can pull Power BI cards directly into that, so that when you do use those BI tools, you can view it in ACC. So,
okay.
I think we're almost at the top of our time, so I'm going to do a couple quick hitters here. Can the Gantt chart schedule tool be tied to timeline feature? That's on the roadmap. More to come on that. Do you charge by the amount of users or each job? We have a lot of different pricing options. Aaron, thanks for asking that. I would recommend speaking with a specialist to find what situation fits you best, or what model fits you best. So yeah, that's we kind of do both in my eyes, to be blunt.
Hey, John, I have one other housekeeping thing I think would be beneficial. So this is actually the first webinar in these sort of connected workflow series. We want to source from you all like what the next topic is going to be. We actually have a poll loaded up here to get your input into that. I wish it was open text so we could get your specific ideas, but we had to choose a multiple choice option. So if we could load up that last poll at the end here, just so that you can give input into what you'd like to see next for this series. So maybe I can load it up.
I can put it up.
Got it.
You got it.
Okay. There's one other thing in here. People were asking to see the issue details. I think that's something that we can put in the deck, and as we send the email follow-up with the deck in this video, you can look at those details in that. We'll also have additional resources in that email, so if you want to learn more, you're welcome to do that. Anything
All
else,
right.
John?
And with that, Kyle, I think we're out of time, but we're going to let this poll run for just a little bit longer because it looks like there's still a lot of people voting. But shortly after that, we will close up. And again, thank you everyone for joining. This was a great conversation. I feel like we should host an AMA or Ask Me Anything here soon. So it might be good too. But yeah, anything else you want to end with, Kyle?
No, thank you, everyone. This has been a real treat, and I look forward to the next one.